Today, I want to talk about why I don't want drinking, smoking, and drugs around me. And it's no coincidence that this video is going live on St. Patrick's Day because, well, a lot of people abuse that as a reason to drink. Now, maybe they had their fix over the weekend because I know that the Boston St. Patrick's Day parade doesn't usually happen on St. Patrick's Day itself. The one time I went in 2009, it was the Sunday before. But yeah, the reason that I don't want that around me, I already did a video about why I don't personally partake in it. I think I mentioned why I don't want it around me, but I'm going to expand on it here. So, first off, with smoking, it smells. End of discussion. Goodbye, plain and simple. And that's if you ignore the toxic elements of it, the chemicals within it, the toilet cleansers they mentioned in seventh grade health class. Hey, the American the American education system did something right. So, anyone who was in that class with me who took up smoking, at least they're making an informed decision. Also, I've been to the house of someone who smokes inside there. Yeah, not a great scent. I literally felt like I had to shower as soon as I got home because of that. Yeah, I'm very grateful that smoke the act of smoking has been pushed to the margins in terms of where it can be done. Because I know that back in the 90s, between Mrs. Doubtfire, personal testimony from my mother, and The Simpsons, it was way more frequent, way more casual, and way more. And you were free to smoke almost anywhere back then. As recently as 93, that's when Mrs. Doubtfire came out, and that's right. I don't know. I think you could probably tell when it got pushed to the backside if you just watch The Simpsons and then find the earliest point where they don't show Mrs. Krabappel and Ms. Hoover smoking at a school assembly or within sight of a student. I know for a fact, being born in 97, that I can't remember smoking being there being a smoking section of a restaurant. So it was probably right around then, if not before I was born. And honestly, the given the smell I tolerated when I went into the house of the person who smokes inside, yeah, I say good riddance to the smoking sections of restaurants. It's just all non-smoking across the board. And again, that's when and the scent alone is bad enough if you don't if you ignore the toxins and such, the stuff that increases your chances of lung cancer over time, and also the increased risk of that over time as a result of secondhand smoke. Yeah, I'd argue that it's basically a form of air pollution. I can't wait for the day that they fi- finally stop producing cigarettes entirely. Hopefully that happens within my lifetime. Same with drinking. No, I'm not advocating for legalized prohibition because I know that had its issues. I'm talking about a cultural shift away from it, which I've heard Gen Z is far less into drinking than past generations. Thankfully, as an elder of Gen Z, one of the elders, being literally born literally on the third day where I could be categorized as Gen Z. Like I've said before, I was born 3 days late to be a millennial. I wholeheartedly agree with this shift away from drinking, and hopefully, Gen Alpha can bring the rates of voluntary drinking lower and lower. Yeah, because the reason I don't want drinking around me, one, there's a smell. Admittedly, it's not as bad as the scent of tobacco because I get a similar smell when I make my pizza dough because of the yeast. I know that yeast is used for making beer, and I don't want to know the rest of the process because, frankly, I don't care. But yeah, there's that. Then there's the way that people behave after the fact, because my problem with drinking is more about my problem with drinking has more to do with how it makes people behave. Yeah, they call it the social lubricant because it loosens people up. That shouldn't be a good thing. Anything that makes people do something they normally wouldn't do can't be good. I've said that before and I will say it again. Yeah, that's the primary reason I don't want it around me. Secondary being the scent. At least with smoking, it doesn't alter your behavior, except maybe for making you need to go outside to, except for making you feel the urge to go to one of the designated spots for it to get your fix. But yeah, I know that someone's probably going to say in the comments that the only reason I have an issue with it is because I'm not in the zone. Well, I don't want to be inebriated because I like having a fully functional brain. I prefer being able to think clearly, make decisions, and be able to generally function, you know? It really makes you wonder what or if it makes you unable to drive a car or operate heavy machinery in general because it impairs your ability to function. Why would you willfully want to do that? But yeah, I don't want the act of drinking around me. Like I've mentioned in my video about why I don't drink, I do have friends who drink and they have had drinks at parties that we have been to, none that have been in my name. because quite frankly, I can't compel them to join me in sobriety. And I would prefer people make that decision of their own accord. You know what it does, you know why I personally don't drink. If we are at an event and I cannot force you to not drink since I don't live with them or anything like that, because I can more easily walk away, not in terms of like unfriend them IRL or anything like that. More of a I can voluntarily choose not to be where there is alcohol if I feel so strongly about it. It would be different in a dating dynamic, mostly because you move in together at a certain point. Yeah, if I have any disagreements on that, that's going to become really tricky. So that's why when it comes to just friends, it's not that I have a ringing endorsement for it. I just tolerate it at events that are not in my name because they're nice enough not to give me a hard time about events in my name where there was no alcohol. Those being my college graduation party, which was right here, and if I put together a movie screening, they know better than to. They know that I will be disappointed if they do that. Actually, one of them managed to sneak getting a drink from the bar at the movie theater while I went to the bathroom. But since he finished it before I got back and I found out years after the fact, I'm not going to hold it against him. On top of the uh, if I got too strict in terms of micromanaging behaviors outside of my control, I would not have any friends in the first place. I do have to draw the line somewhere. So yeah, and then drugs, same thing is applicable. I do not like the scent of some drugs that I don't know if YouTube allows me to say the name of, so I'll let you piece it together. I just know for a fact that I don't want the similar inebriated behavior that drinking creates, and I don't want any foul stenches around me either. So yeah, that's why I don't want drinking, smoking, or drugs anywhere near me. I tolerate the drinking where I have to. I tolerate it where I have to, like if I'm around someone who, like if I'm around someone who is a smoker, I don't give them a hard time, and I know for a fact that I don't have to live with them. It would be living with someone who does that, that would be too far. But if it's someone, but if it's outside of a living space, I put up with it to a certain extent to keep the peace. Although I will admit that at a certain point, if I feel that strongly about it, the burden would be on me to not be in that situation in the first place. But if I'm too harsh about it, then I would not have any friends. For example, if I if I refuse to ever go to an event in my and that is not in my name that had alcohol, if I refuse to go to any events, period, because there was alcohol present, I would never have gone to my high school reunion, which I am curious if one of those will pop up this year, because there's 10 years since I graduated high school. I would not have any friends if I only allowed in friends who never drank under any circumstances. The reason I tolerate that is because I don't have to live with them, so there's that. I also wish I could just not spend money at places that serve alcohol, but my rationale is I just don't buy the alcohol because, as I mentioned in my video about why I don't drink, as far as I'm concerned, whatever profits they make from the non alcohol items that I buy, even if it gets assimilated into money that is used to buy a restock of the alcohol products they sell, it's not my money anymore, so it's not my problem. Because let's face it, if I would only be able to buy groceries from Target if I did that, because the one near me doesn't sell alcohol. Unfortunately, their grocery selection is much more limited compared to Star Market, which unfortunately they sell alcohol, but I just don't buy alcohol there because I wouldn't buy alcohol, period. I boycott the product, not the business. So on that note, I'm going to leave it here for the video. Comment down below uh, your thoughts on all this. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I will see you soon.